Welcome to this video demonstration of building a simple model with GOMAN, Maraco's Optimal Development and Production Planning tool. We will start our model by right-clicking on the Production Base and Surface link pane and selecting Project Scope to determine how many elements we'll have in our project. So we'll have 2 reservoirs, 1 GOSP, 1 CSP or crude stabilization plant, 1 gas plant, 1 oil market, and 1 NGL plant. So you will see once we click OK, we will see all these elements appear in our screen. The next step will be to rearrange these elements in a more natural way to represent the flow of hydrocarbons from left to right. And once we have rearranged them in our screen, we will proceed to create connections. So we'll connect the reservoirs to the GOSP, the GOSPs to the CSP and the the CSP to the market. There's also going to be flow from the CSP to the gas plant and from the gas plant into the NGL plant. Once we have defined our connections, we will right-click and select Update Data Structures to see all the elements including our project appear in the project tree here on the left side of the main window. By defining General Project Data, so we'll select Project Outline, and we'll define what type of reservoirs we'll have in our project. So we'll select oil reservoirs. We'll give a project name, for example, Tutorial 1. And we will select how many regions and how many fields are in our project. So in GOMAN you can define for a single kingdom, you can define different regions, and each region can have several fields, and we will associate reservoirs to each of these individual fields. Next, we will define how many reservoir expansions we will include in each of our reservoirs. So we'll define a base and up to 4 expansions for each of our reservoirs. We will define a starting date of January 1st 2009, and we will select a length of a planning horizon equal to 30 years. This can be changed using this slider rule. For this basic tutorial, we will proceed by defining reservoir data. So under reservoir, we will select the general menu option and we'll select reservoir 1, and we'll edit the main properties. So here you can define which field it can belong to, what will be the source for gas lift in case we define some gas lift associated to that reservoir, and the type of platform. We can either select an onshore or offshore platform. We'll select an onshore platform, and we will adjust the priority for the allocation of spare capacity. So we'll change to neutral for this reservoir, and we will leave the 4 expansions that we have defined initially to be available for this reservoir. There are several other basic reservoir properties that you can define. For example, we can change the gas oil composition, the crude quality. You can define the API, the sulfur content as a function of time in our simulation for this reservoir. We can impose rate limits. We can define downtime time and price differentials for this reservoir, for hydrocarbon coming out of this reservoir and going to the market. So we'll leave the default values for this reservoir and proceed to define the production curves. The next step is to define production curves for each of our reservoirs. In GOMAN, the production of a reservoir is modeled by user-defined production curves, and these production curves are defined for the base production and for several expansions, several development expansions, up to 4 expansions. So we will start defining the base expansion. We'll select the starting year to be 2009. We will leave a starting rate of 60 MB per day. We won't have any flat number of years, and then we'll have the decline fraction per year of 0.018. We can also define gas-oil ratio, BW, B0, and the water cut fractions that will define the water production and gas production. And we can see, we can click here on the buttons on the right side to visualize what's the production curves defined by these parameters. For example, here we'll see what the production capacity, the oil production capacity, looks like for this reservoir. We can see the water rate that we have defined for this reservoir, the gas rate as a function of time. We can plot the recovery and other properties. Once we have defined the production characteristics for the base case, we will go on and define the production characteristics for the expansion number 1. So we will make production number 1 start in year 2012, and we will define infill drilling for this expansion. So we'll check here the infill drilling option. The main parameters that define the characteristic of the infill drilling are the rate for each well that we define, the plateau rate, the reservoir aging factor, which is basically the decay rate once we have reached the decline onset, which is here defined as a fraction of the recovery, and we can define the maximum number of wells that can be added during the build-up period and during the plateau period. For example, for the parameters entered here on the screen, we can select oil rate, and we can see the type of oil curve, the oil production curve that is defined by these parameters. This oil production rate corresponds, for example, to this number of wells that have been created during that period, that have been added by GOMAN in order to reach that the selected characteristics. So here, for example, we see the number of wells that GOMAN adds for each year in order to meet that demand. We can, for example, see here what will be the production for the oil production will look like for the base case plus the first expansion. So we will see that this red line here represents the base case, the blue line here represents the production for expansion number 1, and the sum of the two represent the production of both the base expansion, the base case, and the expansion number 1. And as we can see, that combined production meets the criteria of a 100 MB per day that we define for the plateau period.